So hi, I'm Carrie from Rose and Hen, and this is Dave from Woodwyrm, and we're going to have a little chat for our Meet the Maker interview. So how are you today, Dave?
I'm very well, thank you, Carrie. Yeah, it's a lovely day now with sun shining, so yeah, good
It is,
day.
isn't it? Now that the fog's cleared, absolutely.
Yeah.
So do you want to start, or shall I?
I'm quite happy to fire off. Yeah, that's great. Okay,
great.
So you use a process called lino cutting to make your beautiful prints. I was just wondering if you could explain how the process works.
Sure, certainly. So the first thing I do is when I've created a design that I'm happy with and it's drawn on paper, I transfer that onto a piece of tracing paper, and then I reverse it, because obviously whatever you print is going to be reversed. Doesn't normally matter for most things, but if you've got words or a scene, you want it to be the right way around. And then when I've done that, I will put it onto a piece of lino. So that's the Hessian one.
Right.
Or there's a vinyl one, or there's another easy cut vinyl-y type one as well. I prefer the Hessian. And then from there, the design will be on there, and I will carve it out using my tools. So I have these little tools here.
All right, yeah.
Very thin ones. I do have thicker ones, but these are my really minute ones because most of my designs are quite small. And then when I've carved it out, you get something a bit like that.
Oh, it's quite fine then, yeah.
Exactly, yeah. And then when you've done that, you roll out the ink,
right,
onto a glass plate with a brayer. There's a little one. And when you've done that, you'll then roll that on top of your plate, and then you'll press your piece of paper down on the top, and you can either put it through a press, or you can put it through, do it by hand with like this, which is a baron. And then when you've done that, you peel it back and you get something like this.
Wow, that's lovely.
Yeah.
That's really nice.
And that's done with two different ones. So that's done with turquoise lake and a charcoal, which makes that sort of shiny, almost misty look on.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So that's kind of generally how it works.
Brilliant.
So how about you then? What got you interested in wood carving?
Oh, well, this goes back many years, I guess, now, and it was a friend who initially introduced me to it. He started playing around with some chisels, and he got the bug, and he was talking to me about it, and I thought, well, I'll give it a go. So I got myself a set of some simple chisels just to try it out, really, beavering away in the garage, and started carving in what you call relief. So I was getting a block of wood and then just carving on the surface. So
something similar to what I do then, because it's called relief.
Very much like those chisels that you use. They're very much like the little sort of palm chisels I was using.
Yeah.
So I started off doing things like this. Quite simple, but quite time consuming. And then I got introduced to spoon carving about 10, 11 years or so ago, again by a friend. And I just fell in love with it. It's so nice just to take a fresh piece of wood, and just by using a few simple tools. So I use an axe and a couple of very sharp knives for doing all the work, and it's all done by hand. So, and it's quite a quick process. Obviously, there's a lot of learning involved.
Yeah.
But to take a piece of wood and then create something very usable. Like that, this is a piece of birch. So the log is split and then carefully axed out and carved away to create a little cooking spoon. And as I say, I just became addicted to it. And it fitted in better with my sort of busy work life at the time. So, you know, if you're working full time, you don't have an awful lot of downtime.
That's very true, isn't it?
Yeah. So with the spoon carving, you don't need an awful lot of space. So I just set up a little area in the garden just so where I could make a mess. Because you get chippings everywhere and shavings everywhere.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And then, you know, just grab an hour here and there. And then, you know, I was doing it more and more. Then as it kind of progressed, I started playing around with different things as well, making little pots and little cups and all sorts of little things. and just it's kind of developed into a business from there.
Yeah, brilliant.
So it was about 3 years ago now. I think similar to you, maybe 3 years
Yeah,
or so.
yeah, 3 years.
Yeah, I set my little business up, and it's kind of, as I say, developed from there. And I carve all sorts now as well. But I also offer tuition, which is great. I know
Yes,
that's maybe
you do
something you asked me
workshops,
about
don't
before.
you?
Yeah. So I can now offer taster sessions where people can come and have a go, talk them through the whole process, and I find it's very relaxing as well. You just kind of switch off. People always say, they've really enjoyed themselves. It takes them away from, the daily lives.
Yeah.
It's almost like a therapy session in some ways,
Yeah, I feel like that when I'm printmaking. It's very much a meditative sort of thing. Sort of the rituals of setting out the desk on how I'm going to do it in my kitchen, and whether I'm carving, which basically just clears the mind completely, or whether I'm printing and it's very much a sort of this very and repeat.
You sort of get stuck in a process.
You do, don't you? Yeah, exactly.
So you obviously love the natural world, and it must be a huge inspiration for your prints. I was just wondering how you came about with choosing the actual designs and then picking the colours.
Yeah. Well, with the designs, it's kind of whatever really piques my interest at the time. So I did, I don't know if you can see behind me, there's a lot of little insects and things. Those kind of came about by lots of nature walks that we did when we were in lockdown, and I would take pictures of all the plants and flowers and things in the meadows. And the more I sort of thought, oh, I'd like to do some more plants, the more I thought, actually, a meadow would be really nice. So that kind of came from there. And that one's, the one with the flowers on is like a layered lino where you print several layers of different design on top of each other. And then we were also, I had lots of pictures of dragonflies. So I thought, dragonflies, meadows, yep. And we also saw some mayflies at one point as well. So I was like, yep, let's also do some mayflies.
So I was looking at one earlier. I really like that one.
They look like fairies, don't they? Which is really
weird.
They
really do, yeah.
Yeah.
Really attractive.
And then the bees
seem to just capture it. You just capture it, it's just really nice.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And then with the colours, I have a limited range of colours. Obviously, if I wanted more, I could certainly pop down to Hawthorns and get more. But you can mix the colours as well. You don't have to keep them as a straight colour. You can mix them. So I'd spend time making little things of what I've
yeah.
and writing on what I've done. So yeah, but there's different inks as well. So there's that one's an opaque, which means if you print it on top of another colour, then they will sit next to each other almost. So it's like block colours. Whereas if you print with something like this is a transparent and it's turquoise. But so you can see when you've mixed it with something else, it changes the colour. So that's the colour up there.
Right, yeah.
But then if I were to almost water it down with this, which is ink with no pigment, you can get different colours. And when you you print them on top of each other, they also mix together to make another different colour. So it's kind of
it's like chemistry
process. It's almost chemical.
Yeah, brilliant.
Yeah, so there you go. But yes, and what else did I have to ask you? I've turned the thing off now. Might have to edit this later. Just gone off again. Here we go. Yeah. Now, my favourite of yours is actually the little scoops that you make. I really like those because they're really useful for measuring out things as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, but what's your favourite to make?
That's a tricky one because I make so many varied items, different styles of spoons. I've really kind of got to be in the right sort of frame of mind to do certain things. So I tend to go in a workshop and go, right, what sort of mood am I in today? So I might do a lot of cooking spoons or eating spoons, but the scoops are great fun to make. They are. You can make all sorts of different sort of shapes, but I think this particular sort of almost like little shovel.
Yeah,
Is,
and I like the little one that's like a bowl almost.
yeah, yeah. I mean, there's, I mean, something like that.
That's it. That's the one I like. I
Yeah,
like those.
yeah. Which are really, really handy, and it's they can quite sort of tricky to make. Certainly the deeper ones because you're using sort of different tools. But it's quite a clever way of working out how much they can actually hold.
Yeah.
So, in order to work it out, if you've got an exact measure, so you've got a general sort of kitchen measuring tool, be it a tablespoon or whatever, you can basically fill that with blue tack. Okay, so you know how much it holds, and then I'll use that amount of blue tack as a guide as to when I'm carving, so I know how deep to go in the bowl. That's kind of a general rule, and obviously you can vary it. But I mean, I make all sorts of different sizes, even down to these tiny little, sort of almost like salt spoons, or spice spoons as well. It's all about getting that right sort of shape because they've got to be useful as well. So all my spoons are all made to be used. So I spend a lot of time learning how to create the wood in the right sort of shape and form to get the right sort of angles and cranks in it.
And what would you favourite to work with?
It's always a tricky one, that one. I mean, I'm very fortunate with actually getting hold of wood. Over the last few years, I've made friends with a few tree surgeons in the area. So I tend to get all sorts. Birch, again, is a very, when I'm showing you really, this is birch. It's quite a light pale wood, very easy to carve, because all the spoons and things that I carve, it's all carved fresh initially. So it's still quite wet. And certain woods vary in sort of softness and hardness. So birch carves really nice, dry as well, and it takes the detail really well. But as a favourite, I've got to maybe say, I mean, I quite like beech. So this little scoop I was showing you earlier, that's beech. It's got some really nice coloration in it. And it takes...
it's got a lovely sort of almost honey colour to it as well.
Yeah. I mean, it varies so much in coloration because fresh beech can be quite plain. It's got nice texture and grain in it. But once you've left it a while, it can kind of go really, really varied in the coloration. Almost, it's called spalting. So it's like a fungus almost that develops in the wood if it's still moist. And that can really develop and create some really interesting coloration, which is really what I'm drawn to more and more, I think, is I mean, the natural beauty of the grain in the wood. I mean, you can decorate spoons and you can play about with different things, but I got hold of some plum recently. So, I mean, that's
exciting looking, isn't it?
So that's the lighter is the outer wood, the sapwood, and it's the heartwood, which is the darker.
That's hickory.
So if you juggling spoons now, so if you split the log correctly, you can get what's called a half and half. So you can get, this is a bit of cherry, which you can
that's half and half, isn't it? Yeah, because it's the same. It does that as well, doesn't it? I've seen it does that.
It's got some lovely coloration in it. This is one of my little skull spoons I've been working on today.
Skull spoons. That's quite fun, isn't it?
So these are my these are ideal for removing tea bags.
Oh really? Oh yes, with the little slots. Clever, very clever.
So I'm always thinking of different ideas. I am.
Cool.
But yeah, it's really tricky. It tends to be really whatever wood I'm using at the time because I just enjoy carving so much. Right, I think I've maybe got another question for you.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so I noticed you've got some really nice Christmas cards out at the moment.
Christmas cards.
Yes. I was just wondering what ideas you may have for the future.
Well, I've been, my sister went off to the lakes recently when they were actually allowed out, and she sent back some really lovely pictures. So I'd quite like to do a couple more landscapes. I'd started on some landscapes for open studios, but obviously that got cancelled. Yes. But so I'm kind of now starting to work on a few more things for open studios for next time. So some more landscapes maybe. But yeah, I'd like to also do some more insects as well, because the ones that I do tend to be like a pattern, and then when I'm doing the cards, I scan them in and then sort of manipulate them so that you've got a few in different positions. But yeah, I mean the Christmas cards, I mean I particularly like that one, which is the same as that print there. And then the robin seems to be extremely popular, but the globes were actually last year's, but they were so popular last year that I was like, oh, definitely going to bring those back, and they've been flying out already. Surprise, surprise.
Is it sort of more or less sort of down to what's popular?
Yeah, I tend to have a look at what's trending. So if you look on Etsy holiday trends, and they also do ones for summer as well, and they will tell you what they think is going to be on trend or what they're seeing people searching for. And like last year it was very traditional, so traditional Christmas, but within a snow globe for a little bit of a weird kitsch twist. And I think this year, again, traditional, bringing together lots of tropical colours like lime, citrus, grapefruit is on the go. So yeah, I mean, I try to take one of the trends and see how it's going to fit in with how I work, because, you know, things like maximalism is not really my thing. So I'm more of a miniatures type of person, and sort of a more traditional type of person, but my prints are traditional but with a modern twist, as it were. So they look classic, but they also look quite modern as well. It's sort of a bit of a mixture of both. So taking one of those trends and then thinking about how it's going to fit in with my business is kind of the way I go, but also just basically what inspires me at the time. So yes.
Yeah. And what you enjoy doing.
Exactly, and what I enjoy doing. Yes.
Yeah. Brilliant.
Oh. So where can we find you when you're, hang on, they're sending me messages. So where can we find your store then, if we want to buy your lovely spoons?
Well, yes, I've got an Etsy shop. I've got a website as well, but the Etsy shop is called Woodwyrm Carvings. So you can find me on Etsy, and I've got quite a few things on there at the moment. And what about yourself? Again, you must have a shop somewhere.
Yes, absolutely. Mine is roseandhen.etsy.com, and yours is Woodwyrm spelt with a Y, isn't it?
It is, yes. Yes.
So Woodwyrm and Rose and Hen. So yes, and also on Instagram, of course, prolific on Instagram. So so thank you very much for chatting to me today, Dave. It's been lovely.
Yeah, it's been good, Carrie. Thank you very much.